good afternoon, and welcome to the call, All Millionaires. And Happy New Year, All Millionaires. My name is Alma Nancy. I go by Alma the CPA, and it is such an honor and a privilege, as always, to be the host of this amazing call, Obsessed with Success. Now, without further ado, I have the honor of introducing my friend and my mentor. This gentleman is a very passionate leader. His specialty is actually building leaders and taking people from 0 to 100. A lot of people, he has helped so many of us, including myself, create and build and sustain successful businesses. He's even helped so many of us retire from our full-time jobs. This gentleman has a knack for seeing talent in people and bringing out the very best in them and seeing the things that they do not even see in themselves. He's a founding member of an amazing company. I can go on and on with all his awards and accolades, but please let me step out of the way and introduce to the line my friend, my mentor, and my coach, Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, Miss Nancy?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please take it away.
I really appreciate that wonderful introduction, and I got to give it right back and say thank you so much for everything that you do for us. You know, it is amazing how this thing is really a combination of all of our best qualities, from you to my brother to myself to all of the tribe members that are out there spreading the word religiously and letting people know that there's something special brewing in the mornings and on these Wednesday afternoons, that there's something brewing in our society today where people are understanding that it's not so much about ending poverty as it is pulling ourselves out of it, pulling our community out of it. We understand that there's a level past being blessed, and that's called being a blessing. And I'm so happy to be here at this brand new beginning. But guess what? Every day is a brand new beginning. So no matter when you're listening to this, I guarantee you, you're either on your way into some things or you're about to be on your way out of some things, right? And the whole point of it is that what keeps us going when we're coming out of something, or what keeps us going when we're getting into something, is the power of goals. Millionaires' goal setting is a fantastic skill to develop. And it's how you design your future. We always talk about this in the mornings when we're saying our affirmations, but millionaires, a life best lived is a life by design, not default, but design, not by accident, not just by walking through the day, bouncing off wall to wall and just managing to survive. If you can start giving your life dimensions and design and color and objectives and purpose, the results can be stunning, staggering. The thing about goal setting that I want you to realize this evening is that it gives you the chance to experience the power of your imagination. Think about it. Imagination builds cities. Imagination conquers disease. Imagination develops careers. Imagination sets up relationships. Imagination is where all the tangible values and intangible principles and morals begin. So what you got to learn to do is use this divine resource that we have. Tapping this resource of imagination for setting goals is a beautiful thing, because it's not just talking about your future, but it's also thinking about now. You're not just conquering tomorrow or the rest of the day or thinking about the rest of the year or the next 5 years or the next 10 years. You can use your imagination to start prospecting for the future right now, in the now, to see what could be possible for you. Here are 5 things I want you to write down that affect you, your life, and your goals. A lot of times when we're reading in the morning from Helen Hadsell, we'll talk about how well-meaning but underachieving friends end up giving you their expectations and how you can't live for them. Well, that ain't it. I'm going to give you a little bit of that, but I'm going to give you 5 of them that affect you, your life, and your goals. These are the things that are affecting you. 1, it's your environment. We always say environment is stronger than willpower, right? And think about it. It don't hurt to make a little simple contribution to the environment, right? pick up a piece of trash, throw it away. If everybody did that, what an incredible world we would live in. Here's the second one, events. Events affect you and your life and your goals, right? Events. You not only got to have, environment that makes you feel empowered rather than belittled, but think of any big event of local or national or global significance. Think about small events, daily events, family events, community events. Events affect us. Sometimes they affect us in small ways. Sometimes they affect us in big ways. Sometimes it's personal ways. Sometimes it's national ways. Sometimes it's but the whole thing is, what kind of events are you exposing yourself to? What kind of events are you participating in that are sort of like these almost artificial markers in life? Like, think about how powerful it is going to networking events where everybody is there for the same purpose. Just think about that for a minute. We don't leverage that enough. But how much you do or don't is affecting you and your life and your goals. Write that down. I guarantee you, no matter what world you're in, you have an event coming up soon. You need to be there. Here's the third one, knowledge. Write this down, y'all. Ignorance is not bliss. Write that down. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is tragedy. Ignorance is devastation. Ignorance creates lack and poverty. Ignorance creates disease. Ignorance will shorten your life and make it more painful. Ignorance will empty your life and leave you with the husks. Ignorance ain't bliss. And here's something else to write down. What you don't know will hurt you. What you don't know will crush your life. What you don't know will leave your life empty. What you don't know will leave you without relationship. We're affected by whatever we know. We're affected by whatever we don't know. You hear me, millionaire. Here's the fourth one, results. Results. Millionaires' results affect you, your life, and your goals. That's why we're always telling you that when you need a little boost of motivation, don't forget how you successfully crossed that stage in kindergarten. And some of us even did it in middle school, and some of us even did it in high school. Do you know some of us even did it in college? Not me, but some of y'all. What's my point? My point is that these results, whether it's business or personal, affect us. Disciplines undone in the future give us poor results. Disciplines managed well give us great results. Here's the fifth one, our dreams. Now, how are we affected by our dreams? Millionaires, see, the reason why I keep on stressing to you that you need to go and take that class in the Kaizen Academy that focuses on the atom or that focuses on the brain is because what we did in there when we were talking about the atom is we talked about this big shift in the world of science. You know, science doesn't progress on a linear level. I don't know if you know that. Like, science is a world of quantum leaps, not 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 1 = 3. No. Quantum leaps. Like, can you imagine how different the world would look if there was no wheel? Well, that was a quantum leap from walking, see? But then what happened next? We took a quantum leap into flying, right? A quantum leap. And then from flying in the atmosphere, we took a quantum leap to being able to make it out into space. Less than 100 years later, like 60-something years later, right? Quantum leaps is how science works. And the reason I'm pointing that out to you is that, you know, a guy named Isaac Newton, this real high 33rd degree Shriner Illuminati Mason dude, he came up with this whole thing called physics, right? To the point we called it Newtonian physics. But what we go to into that Kaizen Academy course on the atom is we start telling you how science took a quantum leap forward with something called quantum physics. And I won't get all into it now. I'm just reminding you to go take that class, because the difference between Newtonian physics, where we talked about effect and cause, right, is that Newtonian effect talked about observation and cause. and then effect, right? Instead of physical cause, quantum physics. See, what Newtonian physics says is that the past creates the present. And we get that, right? Your experiences made you what you are and all of this stuff. But here's what quantum physics did. It brought us into this world of see, what quantum physics says is that the future creates the present. And you're like, what does that mean, Haziq? What I'm saying is that when you can bring clarity to your future, all of a sudden, the things in the moment that stand out to you are completely different from the things that stand out to me. I remember one time I was going in a Cracker Barrel right before I had to give a speech. And, you know, I was there with a buddy of mine, and all I'm noticing on the walls is all of this artwork, you know, that featured all of it. And I started getting into, man, I wonder what time this picture was taken, because it looked like it was from, you know, let's say pre-Reconstruction, when maybe, you know, enslaved Africans were in these pictures and whatnot. And they were just up there, like just chilling on, quote, Master's porch and all of that. And it just, meanwhile, my buddy is busy playing the game. You know, they give you these games in a Cracker Barrel table and all of that, right? Why did that stand out to me and not to them? Well, it's because of the fact that my future dictates my present. Here we are in the same exact place having completely different experiences based on the futures we have chosen for each other. Millionaires, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because some people live in the past. They let their life be continually pulled and influenced by it. These are people that normally don't have any clarity about their goals. Now, we got to remember and review the past so it's useful, so we can invest in the future. But here's the key. Make sure the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. If you're skimpy on your dreams or your objectives and your purposes aren't well planned, that's not going to pull you very hard. That don't have the magic and the magnetism in it. You might have more of a tendency to be pulled apart by events and circumstances and problems and obstacles and adversity. And if you don't want to get pulled apart, then you got to make sure you're being pulled like a magnet. And goals are like a magnet. The stronger they are, the more purposeful they are, the bigger they are, the more unique they are, the stronger they pull you. High dreams will pull you through all kinds of low-down days, low-down seasons. High dreams will pull you through those winters of discontent we all experience sometimes. They'll pull you through distraction on every side. Millionaires, I'm going to tell you the truth. A bad day can overwhelm you if you don't have no purpose. Man, I remember when I was trapped in this horrible relationship that I always talk about all the time, because so many of you are trapped in them today. So many people in general are trapped in them today. And I remember how everything switched once I found my purpose. Then the ways they would try and bait me into arguments or keep needling me, it didn't affect me anymore because I had something. Check this out, millionaires. A dog on the hunt don't notice fleas. If you've got excellent goals, they'll pull you through all this crap, and very little of it can attach itself to you. Now you're able to get through some of the most difficult times because of the magnetism of this spectacular vision. I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to know about setting goals, right? 3 things you need to know. Millionaires, there is power in reaching out into the future and living your life by design, not default, but design, refining it as you go, tearing it up periodically if you want to, just balling it up, throwing it in the trash, start a whole new life. This is your life. This is your future. Check it out. And before I tell you this, let me say this. Keep in mind that the main reason that you're setting a goal is not for the goal. It's for what it makes you do to accomplish it. This is always going to be way more powerful than what you get. This is why goals are magic. They forge us into better versions of ourselves. They cause us to stretch and grow in ways we never would have. It provides focus. It shapes our dreams. In order to get better, we have to become better. And millionaires, that's magic. 3 things your goals got to have. 1, they got to be inspiring. 2, they got to be believable. And 3, they have to be goals you can act on. Life is designed in this way where we look long-term, but we got to live short-term. We understand it backwards, but we got to live it forward. We dream for the future, but we live in the present. But the problem is the present can knock our socks off. But here's the good news. The more powerful our goals are, because they're inspiring yet believable, the more we'll be able to act on them. And that's how we guarantee something's going to happen. Ain't that true? So check this out. What I want to do real quick is I want to run you through exactly how to get the bigger goals that you have to happen much quicker for you. As we go into this new stage of our life, it's important that, because I heard myself just now, and I always twinge when I talk about this. Although I like the word believable more than I like the word realistic, we're given language for a reason, and it makes certain images and stories pop into your mind when I say it. And I get why philosophers would use the word realistic. But here's what I want you to understand. Having clarity is what's going to give you the motivation to make something realistic. If you're not clear on what you're doing, it's going to be really hard to be motivated. And that's why real simple stuff, millionaires, like telling yourself you're going to make 5 phone calls every day for your business, that you're going to make 5 contacts every day for your business, could end up taking months. There's a lack of clarity. There's a lack of clarity not only on how to do it, but why you're doing it. So you don't until you either have to or it's too late. Can anybody relate to that? Millionaires, having a lack of clarity is why so many people settle for less. We aren't kept from our goal by the obstacles. We're kept from our goals by seeing something much smaller, much clearer. It's not the height that scares us. It's not the height that keeps us from getting there. It's the fact that we see the lows so much clearer. We can see so much clearer how to get to this little weak petty crap that we give up the powerful. But here's what I want you to understand. When you're trying to accomplish something big, you're always going to have the why, but rarely the how. Millionaires, you want clarity so bad, you're willing to settle for smaller goals just because the path to getting to your goal is less obvious. You have no clue how you're going to do what you want to do. But what I want you to understand is that's acceptable. That is expected. I was talking about it the other day. I told him how I get why you be scared, man. I get it. I get why my biggest dreams scare me. And this is why you hear him say, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. But do you realize that a lot of neuroscientists, a lot of scholars, they say fear of the unknown might be the foundation of all other fears. In order to avoid the unknown, most people just run away on their dreams. So write these down. I'm going to give you a few of them. Number 1, embrace the unknown. Now, you got to be real with yourself and ask yourself, when you're there in that place of unknown, what's your emotional experience? A lot of people perceive the unknown as being threatening. These are people that have a real low tolerance for ambiguity. But let me tell you who don't have a low tolerance for ambiguity, and that's children. That's why the best-selling book of all time, greatest book on entrepreneurship ever written, tells you to stay childlike, not childish. As you get older, you start wanting security. You start wanting certainty, and that keeps you in your comfort zone. But research has found the more satisfied you are with your work and your purpose, the more fulfilled you feel, the higher your tolerance for what may come, the higher your tolerance for ambiguity. In other words, if you believe in what you're doing, you'll take on a little more emotional discomfort. Millionaires, you just got to have something you care about. If your why is strong enough, you will figure out the how. Here's number 2. Find clarity. Clarity is power. Clarity. This is how you do the big stuff quicker. Find clarity, right? Now, we said embrace what's unknown. So how are we going to come right after that and say find clarity? Well, check it out. Everything is a process. It's all a process. I mean, you eat food every day, and God gives us that through the magic of process. That's a clue. So first, your path is going to be unclear and hazy. The emotional need for clarity kicks in. It makes them abandon their dreams. They start going for weaker crap that they can see way easier because all the weak bums around them is doing the same thing. But now we're on to the second step, millionaire. And goal clarity is essential to you having some motivation. If you're going to get motivated to achieve your biggest dreams, you need clarity. And this don't mean you got it all figured out. It means you see clearly what you need to do right now. So that's make 5 calls a day. And you're just going to get to the next step. You just need enough to get to the next step where all of a sudden, okay, you start to have this pipeline and how do I follow up with them? Once you get there, you'll need further instructions, but you don't have no clue what you're even going to need to know because you don't know what you don't know. Once you get to the next step, you're going to have way better questions, right? You'll be able to better assess who is qualified to help you. Treasure hunt. All you're looking for is clues. Real quick, write this down. Here's what you need. First, you need a clear checkpoint. So now you know what to do. 5 calls a day. Boom. Then you need a timeline. So that means at the end of a week, I'll have 25 brand new people in my pipeline. Then you need the tools and the systems. Okay, I have a phone. I have a presentation. Okay. Then you need a support structure. I have some kind of support team. I have people that I can come to for, write this down, y'all, feedback. Let me tell you the main thing that keeps most people back from success, especially people like you that can hear my voice, that are smart enough to be in the 1% where you're actually studying when you could be listening to your favorite music or listening to somebody crack jokes on the radio about some rich person. As they've been doing to entertain the poor since the beginning of media. The poor have to practice escapism. But let me tell you your problem, even though you're here and such a scholar, and I honor you for being here. But let me tell you your problem. You don't get enough feedback. You don't go do what we talked about and then show up and say, hey, I tried this, and what should I do next? Or this is how it worked. This is what happened next. You don't do that with your teachers and your coaches. So 1, you need a checkpoint. 2, you need a timeline. 3, you need tools. And 4, you need a support structure. You need accountability. You need a community where you can come to them and get feedback. And if you have all 4 of those, you're going to have the clarity. And therefore, you'll have the motivation. And therefore, you'll have the progress. Because you stretching, you growing, you're moving, while other people are overwhelmed by the distance because they're like, dang, how much further? They're like, I'm supposed to go from this all the way to mile 50. But you realize it ain't about staring up the steps. It's about stepping up the stairs. You realize by the yard, everything's hard. But inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Like my mentor, Mr. Brown, always says. Here's the third one. You got to learn with a purpose. If you want to get your bigger goals much quicker, you have to make sure that you're learning with a purpose. As you guys know, I'm a coach, but it always blows me away how many people come to me asking me for advice without knowing what they want. Now, what am I supposed to do with that? I can't make your decisions for you. You can't make your decisions. You can't make my decisions for me. But when people come to me for a real specific reason, and it's clear that I'm the right person for them to come to, I'm clear that I'm the right person for them to come to, it's magic. Because when you know what you want to learn, you can decide who you want to help you get there. But only you can decide the direction of your training. And here's the wild part. Research has shown over and over again that self-directed learning is the one that's the most fulfilling. What I'm saying is what you learn needs to connect with your interests. That's one of the problems wrong with the school system. But it's your fault because we don't have a community. It's my fault because we don't have a community. And it all starts with economics, but that's a whole different training, right? Albert Einstein said that the way to learn the most is when you're doing something with so much enjoyment that you don't even notice the time passing. Here's number 4. Focus on context. Focus on context. All my Kaizen Academy members know, we did this 3-part series called Train the Trainer. Now we have Mr. Brown, Mr. Les Brown, my spiritual pops. He did a whole training for us and gave us bonus material, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of bonus materials that are there for the people who participated and whatnot. And available to anybody, you obviously can get involved as well. But the point I'm making is, even before he gave us, how to pull out our stories and so you want to speak and speaking your way to unlimited wealth. Train the Trainer gave us the fact that context is way more important than content. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Mormon Church, but the way they train their young missionaries to learn foreign languages so quick has made headlines around the world. Like you'll be 18 or 19, they'll put you in their missionary training facility, right? And you'll learn in a few weeks what takes most college students 3 to 4 years. Why? Because of a certain curriculum. It's a certain methodology they use. It's simple. 1, you learn the concept. 2, you use the concept in a real world role play. 3, you get feedback. 4, you repeat this process. 5, you get feedback. I'm going to say that again. Learn, use it in role play, get coaching and feedback, repeat, get coaching and feedback. Millionaires, this works for little kids, boost their self-esteem. This works for adults. Here's the next one. Context-based learning. Apply it. So first we said focus on it. But now we're saying apply it. You got to bust a move. If you want to learn something quickly, you have to immerse yourself. Fastest way to learn Spanish is to go somewhere where that's all they speak. Yeah, I mean, you can do flashcards, right? 15 minutes a day. You'll get there eventually. But my God, if you'll just get there and immerse yourself, you'll do way more in weeks. You'll do way more in days when you have to learn or starve. Immerse yourself. Instead of trying to motivate yourself, your goal should be to clarify the next couple steps in front of you. Millionaires, immerse yourself. You need enough clarity so that you have motivation to move forward. The more clarity you have of what's in front of you, the higher your motivation will be to go down that path. Your goal should be clarity. Here's the 6th one. Get a teacher. Millionaires, get a teacher. You always hear them say when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Millionaires, when the student's really ready, the teacher will disappear because you're on the higher heights. But that's not going to happen until you move from dabbling to full commitment. Once you move to full commitment, you're going to want to learn quick. So then you're going to want a teacher. You're going to want to start investing in yourself. Mentors are faster than books. Now, with that said, maybe you can't afford a mentor, or maybe you tell yourself you can't, which is the same thing, right? The teacher for you might need to be the library. But the bottom line is, you've got to get a teacher. Here's the next one. Millionaires repeat until it becomes unconscious. We talk about this a lot. The 4 steps to learning, the 4 steps to mastery. Abraham Maslow, who gave us Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he also gave us the 4 steps to mastery. It starts off unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know what you don't know. From there, it goes to conscious competence. That's when your anxiety kicks in, because now you know what you don't know. Then it goes to conscious competence. Now you're sort of able to think your way through it. It ain't exactly fluid. And then you go to unconscious competence, where it's an autopilot, where sometimes you're driving to work and you end up driving home, or sometimes you're driving home and you're engrossed on the phone and now you're on your way to work. You're on autopilot. Millionaires, the reason I'm explaining that to you, the reason I'm always explaining that to you, is I want you to be relaxed while you're in the midst of sucking. Anything worth doing is worth doing bad until you get good. I'm going to say that again. Every master starts off a disaster. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly until you become great. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. I could go on and on and on. Learning something new is all about memory and how you use it. In neurology, we call it the prefrontal cortex. That's what stores your short-term memory. And when you first learn something, it's always busy trying to figure out how to do it. But once you got it, it gets a break. It's freed up like 90%, they say. Now you can perform automatically or automagically because your conscious mind can focus on other stuff now. Millionaires, here's number 8, hard timeline. Once the training's complete, you got to take it into the real world. And you do that by setting these huge goals. That's how you get to the bigger goals quicker. You've got clarity now about exactly what you're doing, why. You're starting to see the steps. And now you're throwing yourself in a process of mastery, throwing yourself in the tumble, knowing you're going to get beat up, bruised, battered, but you're going to come out forged of iron. You're going to be a woman of iron. You're going to be a man of steel. And what keeps you focused is that timeline. And that brings us to accountability. Millionaires, write this down. Whenever performance gets measured, performance gets better. When performance is measured and reported, you get better way quicker. Write this down. Clarity creates motivation. Tracking creates awareness. Reporting is what creates accountability. Let's break this down. So we already talked about clarity equaling motivation, so I won't belabor that one. But why is awareness important? Millionaires, awareness is the only thing. You know how they always talk about growing pains? I always teach that awareness is the only thing that makes staying the same more painful than change. Awareness. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's really interesting how you can tell a baby 75 times not to go near the stove. But if the baby touched the stove one time, baby knows from now on, stove hot, stove bad. Baby didn't need TED Talk. Baby didn't need a novel. Baby now knows. Baby's awareness just grew. Same thing with me and you. Millionaires, there is something amazing about becoming aware. Tracking is what makes you aware. You know, I run a financial services company, and one of the things that we do is we give people a budgeting software, and then we make them use it initially. Like if we're doing our job correctly, we facilitate them getting signed through the budgeting software, and you say, why? Well, it's because back in the day, you used to carry cash. And what you would do with the cash, you would take a $50 bill and you would hold on to it the whole week or the whole month even, because you would say to yourself, nah, I'm not breaking this 50 because if I break it, it's going to be gone, right? But now, with the advent of debit cards and credit cards, all we do is swipe all day. So we've lost that awareness pain. Am I making sense? We've lost the ability to make ourselves aware of how much we're spending because there's no tracking. And then the third one is that reporting is what creates accountability. Reporting your results. But it not only creates accountability, it gamifies it. It makes it fun. Millionaires, if you aren't tracking your daily behaviors, you're probably doing worse than you think you are. That's why I brought up the example of the money, because most people have no money. They have no idea where their money's going because they don't track their expenses. Self-regulation is a psychological process that finds the inconsistency between your goals and your behavior. Self-regulation. That's what ignites your motivation. That's what helps you get from where you are to where you want to be. And it works in three ways. You self-monitor. So you're looking at how well you're currently doing. You self-evaluate, where you compare that to your goals. And then it's time for some self-discipline. Like, how do you feel about where you are versus where you want to be? When you feel dissatisfied with your performance, it's the self-discipline that pushes you to start moving around your motivation resources. Accountability, though, is the most important part. That's what improves your performance. When you report your performance to somebody, especially if it's somebody you respect, especially if you're in a tribe of people who you love and respect, it adds external motivation, it adds relational motivation, it adds power, it adds pleasure to your success journey. Millionaires, that's why we started the accountability community. And if you guys don't mind, then for a couple minutes, what I'd like to do is kind of describe what we do in the Kaizen Academy / the accountability community. Because if you don't know, and yet you're listening to this because of the fact that you want to make this year, this next 12 months, more powerful than any year has been for you, I want to give you a way to help that happen. Millionaires, the Kaizen Academy for Better Entrepreneur Habits is a collection of courses that are put together to help you move further, faster, with less effort as an entrepreneur. It was founded by myself and some of my entrepreneur friends. My name is Haziq Ali. Most people listen to me, if they do it all, because I was homeless about 6.5, 7 years ago. I was living in the back of my car. I was living in this abandoned house that didn't have window panes, et cetera, so forth. But lucky me, I ran into a book by a guy named Les Brown. It was called It Ain't Over Until You Win. This book introduced me to the world of personal development. When I discovered personal development and the idea that you could retrain your brain to think thoughts that were empowering rather than paralyzing, it changed my entire life. I had always been an entrepreneur, but no one had ever taught me the principles associated with success as an entrepreneur. Therefore, I would make money, I would blow it. I had no idea about leverage over labor. I had no idea about the principles that lead to success. But once I discovered them, something miraculous happened. My life began to multiply at an effect that still blows my mind, and at a speed and at a magnitude that's still stunning for me. In those next few years, I was able to generate millions of dollars with a few of our businesses. I was able to set multiple sales records in different companies I was associated with. I was able to fall in love with my life, and the story is still going. But the reason that I think the Kaizen Academy is incredible is not the fact that you have access to all these different courses on everything from sales triggers to the brain, everything from law of attraction all the way to public speaking and storytelling, everything from monetizing your brand all the way to emotional IQ, everything from mental toughness all the way to, yes, desired outcomes. But it's the fact that we not only have the information, but we have the application. The other half of the Kaizen Academy is really what I want to break down today, because the accountability community is what's going to help you get there quicker. Millionaires, the accountability community is a Facebook group that is designed with the serious members of our tribe in mind. What this accountability community requires you to do before you're able to join is complete what we call the wheel of life. The wheel of life is broken down into 10 different categories. These 10 different categories help you to quantify and measure exactly what you're doing with your life and exactly what goals you need to be setting. This wheel of life has categories that really stand out for you, like impact, like body goals. Millionaires, there are categories on that wheel of life for finances. There are categories on that wheel of life for relationships. There are categories on that wheel of life for consistent growth. There are physical health, emotional health. What you're doing in each category is you're setting goals for the next 12 months that line up with that exact section of your life. Because something like a wheel, if this section is on a 10 and this one's on a 5, you're going to have quite a bumpy ride. It's a wheel, after all. I always tell the story about how when people first invented cars, there would just be a steering wheel and, you know, no real dashboard, right? But eventually they wanted to know before the car ran out of oil. So they added a gauge. And then eventually they wanted to know how fast the car was going so people could know to slow down before they went around a curve and killed themselves. So they added a speedometer. You see? And before you know it, there were all of these gauges that allow the person to control and get the most out of the vehicle. Well, millionaires, your time is a vehicle. Your time is but another resource to allow you to manifest the things that you want. It's a vehicle. It's just a vehicle designed to get you from where you are to where you're trying to be. You see that? So here's what's interesting. When you move from a car to a more sophisticated vehicle, all of a sudden that dashboard gets more intense. If you want to achieve your bigger goals quicker, you need more gauges. And that's what this wheel of life does for you. Now, some of you are in the accountability community, but you haven't taken your wheel of life seriously. All of that ends in 2020. If you do not turn in your Kaizen 5, you will pay that $3 fine, and that money goes to the Young Millionaires Academy, because the children who are 16 and younger of any Kaizen Academy students get to participate in the academy for free. We're going to teach them sales. We're going to teach them entrepreneurship. And we're going to do it with the money from your fines. But I digress. How does the Kaizen 5 work? Well, millionaires, after you set up your goals in these 10 different categories, you're going to ask yourself a question. What do I need to do in the next 90 days to make these 12-month goals easier, already done, or irrelevant? Then you'll ask yourself, what do I need to do in the next 30 days to make these 90-day goals irrelevant, easier, or already done? Then you'll ask yourself the same thing about 7 days. What do I need to do in the next week to make my goals for the month already done, or at least easier, or maybe even irrelevant? And then from there it becomes, what do I need to do today to knock out my 7-day goals, or at least make them easier, or maybe even irrelevant? Millionaires, if you can achieve your desired outcome without any of these to-dos, then we want to skip straight to that. But by the yard, since it's hard, we know inch by inch, anything's a cinch. And so the Kaizen 5 that you post in the accountability community every day is based around your 12-month goals, which are broken down into your 90-day goals, which are broken down into your 30-day goals, which are broken down into your goals for the week. And before you know it, millionaires, these little simple things that you're doing daily are going to transform your entire life. So we're starting tonight at 9 p.m. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep the Kaizen Academy at the discount rate until the end of this week. Millionaires, starting at 9 p.m. tonight, it's time for you to post your Kaizen 5, those members that are already in the accountability community. If you're not in the accountability community, then you don't even know what I'm talking about, but you're welcome to join. You can just reach out to any of us and we'll get you a link. But here's the point that I'm making to you. Don't join the accountability community if you're not really all that serious about this next 12 months. This is not for you if you're somebody who's dabbling. Because, and I'm going to break this down on this kickback we're going to do this Saturday. For everybody who joins between now and Saturday, or if you're already a member, we're doing this big kickback. At the time we'd normally do a course. We're going to do a Kaizen kickback. We're going to do the first Kaizen Academy kickback, where we're all just going to get together, get to know each other, turn our cameras on, on our computers, hear each other's goals, so we can begin to hold each other accountable, and we can begin to just kind of fill out our plans for this upcoming year. Millionaires, we're here to dominate. And I'm sick and tired of us languishing in obscurity and mediocrity when royalty is available to us. So if you feel the way we do, come along with us. We're about to turn up a little bit, y'all. So this Kaizen Academy thing, it comes hand in hand with the accountability community. I hope this has been sort of enlightening, but if anybody has any questions, *6 will unmute your line. Was this helpful, y'all? Was this a decent training? We coming up on like 40, 50 minutes. *6 will unmute your line. Anybody there?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, this is Crystal out of Crestview, Florida.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I'm excited about the rejuvenation of the accountability community, and so got to get my Kaizen 5 in. I'm ready. Let's go.
Absolutely.
2020.
Yeah, this is going to be a great year, Chris.
This was a great
no
training.
matter what
Thank
time.
you.
What'd you say?
This was a great training. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Who else we got?
Hey, this is Renee
Hey, Renee.
from Kent, Ohio. As you know, I don't know if you know that I had gone up to the Affiliate Pro program,
Nice.
and yeah, I'm trying to get myself situated so I can start on that and get it going.
Okay. Well, yeah, in your intro email, you got your instructions, which show you how to go through the wheel of life. And once you turn in your desired outcome, we'll get you into the Facebook group, and then we're off to the races.
You're right.